Morning and Merry Christmas. It's second day of Christmas. 38 more days to go. To the presentation of our Lord at the temple, where Saint Simeon, the hermit, gets to behold the God made man at the temple. So I figured I'd do some history for you from the Chronicles of the First Crusade. To from the about the time they are traveling to the east to go to the Middle East, the defense of Jerusalem and everything. It reads, our second army came through the Dalmatian lands, and it was led by Raymond, Count of St. Giles, and the Bishop of Lisieux. The third came by the way of the old Roman road. In this band were Bohemond, Richard of the Principality, Robert, Count of Flanders, Robert the Norman, Hugh the Great, Everard of Pusset, Achard of Montmedy, Isard of Mouzon, and many others. Some of them came to the point of Brindisi, others to Bari or Otranto. Hugh the Great and William, son of the Marquis, embarked at Bari and sailed to Durazzo, but the governor of that place, hearing that the warriors of such experience were arriving, immediately devised a treacherous plan. He arrested them and sent them under guard to the emperor at Constantinople, so that they might swear fealty to him. After this, Duke Godfrey was the first of all our leaders to reach Constantinople with a great army, and he arrived 2 days before Christmas, and encamped outside the city until that wretch of an emperor gave orders that quarters would be assigned to him in the suburbs. When the Duke had settled in, he sent his squires out each day, quite confidently, to get straw and other things necessary for the horses. But when they thought that they could go out freely, wherever they liked, the wretched Emperor Alexios ordered his Turcopoli and Pazinskats to attack and kill them. So Baldwin, the Duke's brother, hearing of this, lay in ambush. When he found the enemies killing his men, he attacked them bravely, and by God's help defeated them. He took 60 prisoners, and some of whom he killed, and others he presented to the Duke his brother. When the Emperor heard of this, he was very angry. The Duke, realizing this, led his men out of the suburb and camped outside the walls. Late that evening, the miserable Emperor ordered his men to attack the Duke and the Christian army. But our unconquered leader, with his Christian knights, drove back the imperial troops, killing 7 men and driving the rest to the gates of the city. Afterwards he came back to his camp and stayed there for 5 days, until he came to an agreement with the Emperor, who told him to cross the Hellespont and promised that he would have as good provisions there as he had in Constantinople. Moreover, the Emperor promised to give alms to the poor, so that they could live. And for Bohemond, that great warrior, he was besieging Amalfi, when he heard that the immense army of the Frankish crusaders had arrived, going to the Holy Sepulchre and ready to fight the pagans. So he began to make careful inquiries as to the arms they carried, the badge which they wore in Christ's pilgrimage, and the war cry which they shouted in battle. He told, "They are well armed. They wear the badge of Christ's cross on the right arm, or between their shoulders. The war cry they shout all together, God wills, God wills, God wills." Then Bohemond, inspired by the Holy Ghost, ordered that most valuable cloak, which he had to be cut up forthwith and made into crosses, and most of the knights who were at the siege began to join him at once, for they were full of enthusiasm, so that Count Roger was left almost alone. And when he had gone back to Sicily, he grieved and lamented because he had lost his army. My Lord Bohemond went home to his own land, made careful preparations for setting out on the way to the Holy Sepulchre. Therefore, after he crossed the sea with his army, and with him went Tancred, son of the Marquis, Richard of the Principality, Ranulph, his brother, Robert of Anstey, Herman of Cannes, Robert of Surdeville, Robert Fitztutson, Humphrey Fitzralph, Richard son of the Count Ranulph, the Count Rossignol, and his brothers Boyle and Chartres, Aubry of Cagnona, Humphreys of Montescalios. All these crossed at Bohemond's expense and reached western Macedonia, where they found plenty of corn and wine and other things to eat, going down into the valley of Andronopolis. They waited for their men until all had crossed over. Then Bohemond called a council to encourage his men, and to warn them all to be courteous and refrain from plundering that land which belonged to Christians. He said that no one was to take more than sufficient for his food. So that's what happened at Christmas time in 1096. Everyone was making their way to the Middle East to go to defend the Holy Sepulchre and other holy places where Christ walked. And give more details to who some of these folks were. Godfrey of Bouillon is my 44th great uncle. His brother Baldwin is another great uncle. He is my 43rd great uncle. King Roger II of Sicily. He'd be my first cousin of 43 generations. Roger I of Sicily. Another uncle. These guys did what we're trying to do in Order Militaris. They had money back then. All of them had riches they could use for the defense of Christians. I don't have that. Nobody we know has it. Because thanks to the European Union, most of these families are outlawed because they're too Catholic and totally against what the EU wants to do. So, this Christmas season, which is 40 days long, and we're only the second day in, we have Christians who are going to be without help since the United States is only focused on destroying ISIS and not the other bigger terrorist organizations in Syria. Thanks to Gatestone Institute, we have learned about the Nigerian Christian genocide. Let me pause this real quick and we'll cover that. This was released on December 24th. It was published December 23rd. New revelations. Previous U.S. administration, the Obama administration, facilitated the Christian genocide in Nigeria. A few bullet points to begin with. On March 23rd, 2015, President Obama himself took the unusual step on releasing a video message directly to the Nigerians, all but telling them how to vote. In that video, Obama urged Nigerians to open the next chapter by their votes. By Goodluck Jonathan, former president of Nigeria, in his new book, My Transition Hours. Second bullet point. Christianity is on the brink of extinction in Nigeria. Bosom Emmanuel, the Secretary of the National Christian Elders Forum, June 23, 2018. Hundreds of indigenous Numan Christians in Adamawa State were attacked and killed by jihadi Fulani herdsmen. When they tried to defend themselves, the Buhari government sent in the Air Force to bomb hundreds of them and protect the Fulani aggressors. Femi Fawi Coyote, Nigerian lawyer, author, and former Minister of Aviation, from the Daily Post, December 6, 2017. In March 2014, after the United States Institute for Peace invited the governors of Nigeria's northern states for a conference in the U.S., the State Department blocked the visa of the region's only Christian governor, Jonah David Young, an ordained minister. In a bombshell revelation, Goodluck Jonathan, Nigeria's former president from 2010 to 2015, has accused the Obama administration of meddling with his nation's politics in order to replace him with its current leader, Muhammadu Buhari, who many blame for facilitating the persecution of Christians. In his new book, My Transition Hours, Jonathan writes, on March 23, 2015, President Obama himself took an unusual step to releasing a video message directly to the Nigerians, all but telling them how to vote. In that video, Obama urged Nigerians to open the next chapters by their votes. Those who understood subliminal language deciphered that he was prodding the electorate to vote for the Muslim-led opposition to form a new government. A 2011 ABC News report provides context. The current wave of Muslim riots was triggered by the Independent National Election Commission's announcement on Monday, April 18, 2011, that the incumbent president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, won an initial round of ballot counts, that there were riots in the largely Muslim-inhabited northern states, where the defeat of the Muslim candidate Muhammadu Buhari was intolerable, was unsurprising. Northerners, Muslims felt they were entitled to the presidency for the declared winner, President Jonathan, who assumed leadership after the Muslim president Umaru Yar'Adua died in office last year, and radical groups to the north, Boko Haram, as seen his Jonathan's ascent as a temporary matter to be corrected at this year's election. Now they are angry despite experts and observers concurring that this is the fairest and most important independent election in recent Nigerian history. Get some water here. That the Obama administration may have imposed its will on a foreign country's politics and elections is hardly unprecedented. Recall the administration's partiality for the Muslim Brotherhood during and after the 2012 presidential elections in Egypt, or its unsuccessful efforts to oust Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu with U.S. taxpayers' money, or its effort, with an admittedly unverified dossier, to prevent then presidential candidate Donald J. Trump from being elected, or by discussing an insurance policy in an event that Trump won. Moreover, text by Peter Strzok revealed that Obama wants to know everything we are doing. So in Nigeria, the Obama administration, it seems, sought to right the apparently intolerable wrong of having a duly elected Christian president in more than 50% Christian nation. Two questions arise. 1. Is there any outside evidence to corroborate Jonathan's allegations against the Obama administration? 2. Is Buhari truly facilitating the jihad on his Christian countrymen? First, the Obama administration's pro-Islamic anti-Christian policy. The former Nigerian president Jonathan's newly published accusations appear to correspond with the former U.S. administration's policy concerning Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. To begin with, Obama administration insisted that violence and bloodshed in Nigeria, almost all of which was committed by Muslims against Christians, had nothing to do with religion. This despite the fact that Boko Haram, which was engaging in ISIS type of atrocities, slaughter, kidnap, rape, plunder, slavery, torture, before ISIS was even born, presented its terrorism as a jihad. In one instance, it even called on President Jonathan to repent and forsake Christianity and convert to Islam, as the price for peace. The Obama administration, however, refused to designate Boko Haram as a foreign terrorist organization until November 2013, years after increasing pressure from lawmakers, human rights activists, and lobbyists. For instance, after the Nigerian church was destroyed in an Easter Day 2012 bombing that left 39 worshippers dead, one of many such deadly church bombings over the years in Nigeria, Obama's Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Johnny Carson, said, "I want to take this opportunity to stress one key point, that is, that religion is not driving extremist violence in Nigeria." Instead, inequality and poverty, to quote Bill Clinton, are what fueling all this stuff. A reference to the jihadi massacre of thousands of Christians. Apparently, to prove that it believed what it was saying, the Obama administration even agreed to allocate $600 million in USAID initiative to ascertain the true causes of unrest and violence in Nigeria, but supposedly lay in the socio-economic, never the religious realm. Also telling is that although the Obama administration offered only generic regrets whenever Christians were slaughtered by the dozens, without acknowledging the religious identity of the persecutor or victim, it loudly protested whenever Islamic terrorists were targeted. When, for instance, Nigerian forces under Jonathan's presidency killed 30 Boko Haram terrorists in an offensive in May 2013, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who is also mentioned in unflattering terms in Jonathan's memoirs, issued a strongly worded statement to Jonathan, reported Reuters. "We're deeply concerned by credible allegations that Nigerian security forces are committing gross human rights violations," Kerry warned the Nigerian president. In March 2014, after the United States Institute for Peace invited the governors of the Nigerian northern states for a conference in the U.S., the State Department blocked the visa of the region's only Christian governor, Jonah David Young, an ordained minister, according to human rights lawyer Emmanuel Ogibi. After the Christian governor told them that they were ignoring the 12 Sharia states who institutionalized persecution, he suddenly developed visa problems. The question remains, why is the U.S. downplaying or denying the attacks against Christians? More recently, Ogibi of the U.S.-Nigeria Law Group based in Washington told Gatestone in an interview that the Obama administration State Department actually said they preferred a Muslim-majority country to explain why Obama chose to visit Signal instead of Nigeria. Ironically, Jonathan sided with the U.S. on Israel in the UN while Buhari voted against U.S.-Israel in the UN. Second, Muhammadu Buhari's role in jihad on Christians. Indicators that Muhammadu Buhari, whom the Obama administration helped make president of Nigeria, according to Jonathan, is empowering the genocide of Christians, follow. After Goodluck Jonathan became president, thousands of Christians living near Muslim centers in Nigeria were killed. Since getting what they want, a Muslim president, Muhammadu Buhari, in 2015, Muslims have attacked Christians in ways that are being characterized as a pure genocide. As the Christian Association of Nigeria, an umbrella group of various Christian denominations, said in a recent statement, there is no doubt that the sole purpose of these attacks is aimed at ethnic cleansing and land grabbing and forceful ejection of the Christian natives from their ancestral land and heritage. To begin with, significantly more Christians have been massacred under Muhammad Bari than his Christian predecessor, mostly by Muslim Fulani herdsmen, who regularly launched raids on Christian villages. In just the first 6 months after 6,000 Christians were slaughtered in the name of jihad, it took 3 times as long for the Fulani to kill only 1,484 Christians under Jonathan's presidency. Any number of prominent Nigerians have accused Buhari of turning a blind eye to Fulani atrocities. He is himself from the jihadi Fulani tribe, Ogilvy told Gatestone, according to Reverend Musa Asaki, the General Secretary of the Christian Association of Nigeria. Under President Buhari, the murderous Fulani herdsmen enjoyed unprecedented protection and favoritism. Rather than arrest and prosecute the Fulani herdsmen, security forces usually manned by Muslims by the north offer them protection as they unleash terror with impunity on the Nigerian people. Similarly, according to prominent Nigerian lawyer and author and former Minister of Aviation, Femi Fanani Kayode, the Muslim President Buhari has only awarded the murderers with impunity rather than justice, and has staffed his government with Islamic officials, while doing essentially nothing to give the nation's Christians, who make up half the population, due representation. Like the Obama administration, Buhari also attributes Fulani persecution of Christians to poverty, injustice, and lack of job opportunities. As the Christians Association of Nigeria retorts, however, how can it be a secular or economic clash when one group, Muslims, is persistently attacking and killing and maiming, destroying, and the other group, Christians, are persistently being killed, maimed, and their places of worship destroyed? The National Christian Elders Forum is more direct concerning the source of violence. Jihad has been launched in Nigeria by the Islamists of northern Nigeria, led by the Fulani ethnic group. This jihad is based on the doctrine of hate, taught in the mosques and Islamic madras in northern Nigeria, as well as supremacist ideology of the Fulani, using both conventional violence jihad and stealth civilization jihad. The Islamists of the northern Nigeria seem determined to turn Nigeria into an Islamic sultanate and replace liberal democracy with Sharia as the national ideology. We want a Nigeria where citizens are treated equally before the law at all levels. Well, that's nice. That's real nice. They just stated the problem. You cannot have what they want until Sharia is totally banned and outlawed. But they said it themselves. The Buhari government has even been accused of participating in a jihad. For example, one especially savage Fulani attack razed several Christian villages in the southern part of the state, leaving 100 dead, and a military jet bombed a Lutheran church and other targets, says one report, before adding, some people suspect the jets were deployed in collaboration with the terrorists because their bomb hit villagers. Fani Coady has been even more direct in this accusation against Buhari. Hundreds of indigenous Numan Christians in Adamawa state were attacked and killed by jihadi Fulani herdsmen. When they tried to defend themselves, the Buhari government sent in the Air Force to bomb hundreds of them and protect the Fulani aggressors. Is this fair? World, take notice. It is also worth noting that although Christians were only recently the majority of Nigeria's population, the ongoing genocide against them has caused their population to drop, to the point that Christianity in Nigeria is on the brink of extinction, warns Boz Emmanuel, the secretary of the National Christian Elders Forum. Last summer he said that Muhammad Buhari is openly pursuing an anti-Christian agenda that has resulted in countless murders of Christians all over the nation and destruction of vulnerable Christian communities. Accordingly, the Church has been weakened and unable to stand before its enemies. Realistically speaking, Christianity is on the brink of extinction in Nigeria. The ascendancy of Sharia ideology in Nigeria rings the death toll for the Nigerian Church. This was done by Raymond Ibrahim. I say that's pretty much proof right there, proving the Obama administration had their hands in this. What more do you need, President Trump, than to go over these lawbreakers and show them they are not untouchable? Contact order militaris, Mr. President. Give us the ITAR we asked for when Tillerson was Secretary of State, and the letters went unresponded. Folks, if you want to do something to help protect Christians worldwide, mostly from the Islamic Jihad, we're not run by governments. And when governments have to pull out because of pressure or whatever else, we won't pull out until we know they are safe, can care for themselves, and are able to protect themselves. Pray to Saint Michael the Archangel, while we are still gathering funds, slowly but surely. We need new members to join us today. Go to ordo-militaris.us. Join us today and invest, people. Become investors. Buy some stock. Isn't it that hard? Probably invest publicly. By what you invest in the stock market. Be better. Won't lose money. Invest with order militaris. Day is full. Merry Christmas.